Hi, everybody. Welcome back to MTEC, and we're up for our second session. I'd like to introduce Merrick Lackner, the co-founder and CEO at Rentley. He's going to take us through a little bit about self-guided tours. Merrick, it's all you.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Dennis, how are you?
Good. Take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate everybody at the MTEC community coming together for this, and excited to share the background and the story of self-guided tours. It's actually interesting because for many in multifamily, it's a new technology, but believe it or not, we've been working on this for 9-10 years now. And, you know, an interesting story going back to 2011, 2012, folks asked Merrick, why don't you guys do the individual landlord market? Why do you guys work with property managers? It actually turns out that one of our earliest clients in the self-touring space was an old individual, elderly gentleman landlord. I went to his living room, sat down with him, and was helping him set up his self-showing, basically pitched him on the process and said, hey, look, you can let renters into the properties all by yourself. A renter can register with their name, phone number, valid credit card. They can check into the property on their own, and I can lease your property with you. And he said, you know what, we'll give this thing a shot. Well, turns out that I'd spent about a full week. We, Clark and myself, we put the for rent signs in the ground, and we got everything all set up, but it was a full week of work, and we only charged $99. So I think we were making less than $1 an hour. And Clark said to me, hey man, we can't survive like this. I need to make more than $50 a week. I love Clark to death, my co-founder, but we essentially decided to focus on the property management market. So interesting, speaking of new and old, one of our earliest clients was old when it was new. So let's jump into, you know, where this all started. Back in 2011, 2012, we launched self-showing technology, and we were very fortunate. And at the time, the single family REITs were basically coming together and purchasing tens of thousands of homes. So they had a tremendous logistical challenge that they needed to solve, which was how do we get people into these homes without either having to pay out huge amounts of commissions, number one, or number two, vastly increasing staff. So the year's 2012, I reach out to a great guy. At the time, American Homes for Rent was based in, I think their still headquarters, if they haven't moved it, it was in Malibu. And I called a great guy named Tom Halleck. He's not there anymore, but great guy. His son is an Olympian champion for the US team. I said, look, I've got this great technology I got to show you. We can help you lease your properties. And so I went there, and he was like, oh, I'm not sure about this, but we do have 20 properties that we're going to be leasing tomorrow in Arizona. I said, Tom, what time's your flight? I'm going to be on the same flight, and the rest is history. So we went out there, we set up the technology, and the concept was simple. We basically packed our bags with digital lock boxes. We went out there, and that digital lockbox enabled a renter to register from the for rent sign, from any of the website collateral, and instantly go to the property and get a one-time entry access code to check in. So we went out, we set up the lock boxes. The renter journey was very simple, quite different from what multifamily uses today. And it was tremendous. We saw great results. Now, things have changed a little bit since 2011, 2012. I mean, the company's come a long way. We've come from putting the for rent signs in the ground ourselves to having a robust IP portfolio, hundreds of employees across the world, offices in China and India and the US. So obviously, I'm humbled. I never could have imagined that such an idea could have, with the support of everybody in the community, gotten so big. But in addition to single family as a vertical that really started and kickstarted the adoption process, right now we're seeing multifamily, we're seeing new construction, we're seeing build to rent, and we're even seeing iBuyers utilize the technology to provide self-showing touring access for their prospects. So we've seen a radical change and more verticals across the board adopting the technology. And in addition to the industries that are adopting the technology, the product has also changed a little bit as well. So, you know, in multifamily, it's very important that a prospect that's doing self-showing can easily communicate with the staff, the leasing staff on site. It's really important that the renter, upon arrival, could easily navigate the community, the layout. They know where to go. It's very important that amenities are presented in a really succinct way. So the product is very different now for multifamily. It's also evolved. So, you know, we're seeing an evolution across the board in terms of the technology. So verticals, we've seen widespread adoption. From single family, we've moved on to multiple verticals. But the product itself at a hardware level has also evolved. So in the early days of self-showing technology, when we first launched the technology, a smart lock box was utilized to let renters into properties. And that's still used today. It's a great low-cost way of getting one's feet wet with self-showing technology. And honestly, almost everybody in the space now is using it as an entry point for getting smart home sales and furthering technology adoption in the industry. But what's really cool is that the hardware that's come out since 2011, 2012 has drastically evolved. You know, there wasn't much in the way of Z-Wave and Bluetooth in terms of the development back in 2011, 2012. Now operators can purchase a smart lock. You know, we make Bluetooth locks, so there could be just a digital lock. It doesn't require necessarily a hub connection or cellular. That can facilitate access into the property for a renter. And also when they move in, they can get the access as well to control their home and control it and invite family and friends. But also swimming one level upstream, there's the full smart home solution as well. And the full smart home solution, of course, it does self-showing. And, you know, in the previous presentation, we're talking about, you know, smart home tech. So much more can be done now as well. You can essentially allow the resident to control their thermostat, their sensors, everything that's in the community. So the product evolution from a hardware perspective has evolved drastically as well. And of course, supporting ancillary components like common area, very, very critical. So from our perspective, it started with the digital lockbox, and now we're working with digital lockbox, smart lock, smart home system, and common area, all key and fundamental to driving the process. And it's great because there's something for everybody. On the low end, you've got the lockbox. On the high end, you've got the smart home system. And if you want to just do something in the middle, you can go with just a lock only. But despite the fact that the industries that are utilizing self-showing technology have broadened, despite the fact that the product itself, the hardware itself that facilitates access has evolved as well, the fundamental drivers are actually the same. The NOI fundamentals are absolutely the same. And there's three levers that are really compelling people to adopt this technology. The first is to reduce operating costs, you know, i.e. efficiency. The second one is to add value. And the third is to increase revenue. So let's go through why people are using self-showing technology in the industry today, specifically in multifamily, and the benefits. So having a property on market is expensive. You can lose anywhere from $50 to $150 a day in rent. And in the time on market as well, on average, we've done some historical analysis. And prior to rolling out Rently with our clients, we were getting numbers of 21 to 28 days. And rolling out the self-showing technology to enable prospects to see homes brought that down to 7 days, sometimes even hours. So obviously hours is on one extreme side of the bell curve, but we've seen it brought down to days. And fundamentally, it's about providing choice to prospects. At the end of the day, these renters, these prospects, they're your customers. So if you engage them in a way that provides them with choice, with flexibility, with the options to do what they want when it comes to viewing a property and what's most convenient, it's going to translate into real efficiency. And we're seeing that. So those are some drivers. One of our partners, clients, Echelon Property Management, said we are seeing about a 70% conversion rate for prospects that toured through Rently. Needless to say, we're now using Rently at a majority of our communities. So what Echelon was seeing essentially is, if they got 100 renters that went into the community, 70% of those, 70, would go and actually lease. So really a tremendous result when you look at the technology. Another really fantastic data point that really reinforces the how great this technology is if we look, we've done over 15 million self tours on our system. We by far have done more than any player in the space, over 15 million. So we have an immense amount of data we've been able to look through. And we've seen here that the majority of renters, when given the choice on their own, actually are choosing to see properties on after hours and weekends, right? And so, part of the evolution, single family, they didn't have necessarily leasing staff on site like multifamily operators do. So they kind of had to do this. They had no choice. But even in the multifamily context, it's so important to utilize this technology, because what we're seeing is the vast amount of renters out there. They don't want to go and tour properties during working hours. They want to do it on after hours and weekends. And this essentially allows them to do that. And so this heat map basically corroborates the importance of having flexibility for renters. Here we've got a quote from Origin Investments. Within the first month of implementing Rently, we secured 3 new lease applications from prospects that self-toured themselves outside of business hours between 6 and 8 p.m. With this flexibility for our prospects, it's likely that without this flexibility for prospects, it is likely that we would not have seen these leases otherwise. So they opened up the window, and it essentially generated more touring activity. It's also it's a great value driver, and a common misconception is that this is a tool that only enables renters to have flexibility, and it somehow is in conflict with leasing staff. That's absolutely not the case. The self-showing technology is amazing as a tool for renters to give them added flexibility for viewing homes, but it's a tremendous tool to be utilized by leasing staff. I mean, if you just think about it at a high level, prior to these technological tools being available, if a leasing agent was able to do, and especially in a case where you've got lots of traffic, but if you're able to do 10 leases in a day, just based on physical constraints, that would be amazing. But with touring technology, you can have your leasing staff who is on site to the community some of the time. Perhaps they work normal 40-hour weeks, but they're still going to be more efficient as a result of this technology and really able to utilize the tool, because they might be at home during the weekend, but they'll still have communities being shown to renters. And you can now conceivably have a leasing agent do 30, 40 leases without any problems whatsoever. So this isn't just a tool for renters. This is a tool that works very closely with leasing staff, and it empowers them to do a really good job at leasing and maximize efficiency. So, common misconception is there's a conflict. There really isn't. It's a tool for leasing staff. Self-guided tours from Cushman and Wakefield is more important now than ever. Rently offers us a robust solution with a variety of options that can work at any property and meet our ever-growing needs. What's really cool about the technology, and especially the way we've designed it, is whether you're looking to go live with the lockbox quickly at a low price, or you're looking for a mid-tiered solution with the locker, the smart home system, we can get you deployed within 24 to 48 hours. I mean, the whole system is set up, it's easy. So, rolling out many communities very quickly isn't a problem for adopting the technology. The CRM can be opened, and super, super convenient to integrate with your CRM. Speaking of integration, many companies in the space, as we all know, have made billions of dollars on the tech side charging for leads, right? With over 15 million self-showings on our platform, the Rently brand has become a tremendous source for lead gen, and renters are actually organically being driven to communities, as part of our offering, and funnel to management sites for touring as well. And it's integrated completely with all your syndication. So it's very, very turnkey. You can have the self-touring button on your site. You can have the for rent sign at your properties. Everything will allow the renter to easily go in and see the homes. And here we've got First Communities recently joined the team. We increased touring traffic 29% by utilizing the marketing syndication. So we've seen really a great driver there. Finally, increasing revenue. This was a starting point where many folks came into the industry and were selling smart home on this basis. We really like the efficiency because it's built into the operations, but the increased revenue potential, it's there. You can eliminate rekeys. You can, and that's because it's essentially with the keyless locks, you don't need to send anybody out to redo things when the renter moves out. But this is tremendous. It offers, especially for the A-class properties, if you're doing a smart home system or a full-on lock, this provides great amenity value alongside with the pool, alongside with the workout gym, and everything else. So the levers are the same, and even though the industry has evolved a lot, more verticals are joining. Even though the product has evolved a lot, those three NOI levers, we've seen consistent data to prove that this technology is just really, really, really helpful for operators. And I want to thank the multifamily community for really adopting this technology. I think now more than ever with COVID and it probably being around for a while longer, it's a great tool even for making sure that folks stay safe and there's not too much exposure. So it's a great time to get involved with the technology. And I know I've hit my 15, so just want to thank everybody. And I don't know if we have time for questions, but it's been a pleasure speaking with you all today.
Hey, Merrick, this is Steve Lefkowitz. Thank you so much for that presentation. I was really struck by the numerical proofs you offered. And I'm really sensitive to the notion that self-service is the best service. You know, I'm old enough to have been walked to my rental car at Hertz and just said, you know, this is not adding having someone talk to me while I walk to my car. I actually prefer the self-service. I'm obviously dating myself.
Yeah.
But do you, I guess I just wonder, do you have any opportunity to put other entrepreneurs in business? Does anyone ever come to you and say, hey, listen, we're in the locator business and we really just want to help facilitate self-showing as a business? Is there an opportunity for small guys who really like leasing? They say, hey, we want to be a solution provider and implement this for smaller owners that can't do it themselves?
Absolutely. I mean, we've had some folks reach out to us and say, hey, look, I want to set this up for, 10, 20, 30 owners. And we're happy to work with folks like that. In fact, our approach to doing business is very open. You virtually will not find really any system that we won't integrate with if it's to the benefit of our clients. I mean, take Knock, for example. They exploded, in the multifamily scene a couple of years ago. We work with them and we're integrated with them because it makes sense for our clients, even though we're both in scheduling and it's a win-win. So absolutely, we take an open approach and we like to provide tools to our clientele to even modify the system so that they can go out and use it as they see fit as well.
Thank you so much. 15 million tours cannot be wrong. So I really appreciate you presenting this and just sharing this vision of a technology that is really integral to the industry at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's really exciting. And, I was listening to the previous presentation with everything that's happening in the industry. What we're all doing together is huge. I mean, we're really changing behavioral habits for the better. And it's exciting to wake up in the morning and feel that, we're actually having a positive impact. So thank you so much, Steve, for putting everything together. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Merrick. Thanks, Steve.